Cardinals returning to Naperville with a tough tally in the loss column. Wheaton keeping the bell thanks to a 35-21 win inside McCauley Stadium. We'll have Jeff Thorne on the show to talk about the game. We'll also have a couple of players breaking down the rest of the schedule and talking about their favorite part of fall. And on this week's Cardinal Corner, we dive into just how the men's cross-country team continues to dominate despite waves of graduation. We'll get to all that and more next on the Red Zone.
The presenting sponsor of the Red Zone is Athletico, the preferred provider of physical therapy and athletic training for North Central College.
Welcome into the Red Zone. Head coach Jeff Thorne is on the show. And coach, a difficult loss, but there are some really bright, shining points to get to in this game. And I want to review those before we move on to Augustana. Okay. And one of them, and it has been the case for the last 4 years, is Brock Rutter. Yeah. And this is a guy that competes. He played really at a high level in this game, and I'm sure you came away from this game proud of the way that he went out there and put together 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he played as hard as he could play, and under duress, he had pressure on him most of the game. You know, Wheaton's front four is extremely formidable. And we talked about that last week. They brought some blitzes that, you know, we missed a couple, and he took a couple shots. So, you know, to maintain your composure when the bullets are flying like that and you're getting hit and you're getting pressured and don't have much time to get the ball out, that takes a lot of mental toughness. Yeah. And I thought Brock showed who he is Saturday, what he's made of, and you know, still produced at a really, really high level under those circumstances.
It's really easy, particularly for me, to look at the box score and see the production because numbers are so, they're objective. Yeah. But they're the subjective part that is the leadership component that Brock displays on a week-to-week basis, the grit, the desire to go out there and compete. Can you kind of qualify what it was like on the sideline, having him kind of carrying himself?
Yeah, you know, I just, somebody who has performed to the level that he has, who has accomplished what he has, and to have done it with the kind of humility that he does it with. He never talks about himself. You never hear him do that. He's team always. If you don't want to play for him, if you don't want to lay your body down and put it on the line for a guy like him, then you got to look yourself in the mirror and find out why. Yeah. You know, what is it within me that doesn't want to put it all on the line for a guy like that? Yeah. You know, or a guy like Drew Kaminsky or Sharmore who's playing, you know, as hard as he plays. Those guys, they let it all hang out on every Saturday. Yeah. You know, and that should be a rallying point for our team. Yeah. And I'm hopeful that after watching the film, that's what it does. Right. You know, and we had, I could go down the list of guys who played that hard. Yeah. You know, but you got to have everybody. Right. You got to have everybody that's out there on that field, all 22, you know, offense and defense, every guy that steps on the field as a special teams player, every guy that's on the sideline that maybe is not on the field, that energy level, you can't help but look at a guy like that's playing that hard and get excited to play. Yeah. If you can't get excited to play after seeing that, football's probably not the game for you.
Football's the game for Drew Kaminsky. And you mentioned him just a moment ago. 14 catches, and he's not running out of bounds. He's welcoming the contact. He's picking up first downs. You know that a guy has been grinding his way through an afternoon when he catches 14 balls for only 100 yards. That performance was pretty spectacular, I'm sure.
Well, 2 weeks ago, he set the program record with 15 catches against WashU. He just had 14 catches against the #1 defense in the country, and they've earned that. They're the #1 defense in the country for a reason. Yeah. You know, they play disciplined football. They're gap sound on defense. In the run game, they cover people. Yeah. There aren't easy throws. There aren't easy catches. And where Drew catches footballs, it's where football lives. It's inside the hashes. He's not out there outside the numbers catching balls and running out of bounds, like you said. He's getting hit every time he catches it. He's getting hit hard, and he keeps doing it. Yeah. He's as tough as they come.
Defensively, it looked like the first half you did a really good job, especially containing the running game. Yeah. You knew that they were going to run the football, and I think I would say for the whole game, you did a pretty good job containing.
Yeah, I mean, we gave up some chunk runs over the course of the game. You know,
but those are inevitable. I mean, in a lot of ways.
Against a good football team, yeah, that's going to happen. And we did a great job in the first half. In the second half, they found a couple matchups, and we didn't get pressure on their quarterback all game long. We hit him a couple times. And at the end of the day, when a quarterback is comfortable, you know, and has time, they were able to set up some double moves and get guys free. And really, I thought our coverage was okay. It wasn't bad. We were in positions. They made great throws and 2 or 3 diving catches that were great plays. And they, at the end of the day, they made more plays. And that was the difference.
Right. Now, I talked to Dakota Cremines after the game about this, and I asked him, and I want to get your take on this, because you want to win every game. That's what you guys go out there and compete to do. But sometimes you almost need a team to get that sort of downfall, to have that kind of punch in the mouth as a motivational tool. Do you get that sense?
We're going to bounce back. There's no question in my mind that we're going to bounce back. Did we need that? I don't think we needed that. If that's 4 years in a row that they've beaten us. I don't think we needed that to figure out how do we continue to get better and what are we missing. We should have known that already.
Right.
We'll bounce back just because that's the people that are in that locker room, and our coaching staff won't have it any other way. You know, you learn from it. It's frustrating to continue to learn from the same team beating you.
Yeah.
But if you're not learning, then you're not growing.
Right.
You know, and you're not maturing. So again, I kind of go back to that idea that if you're making the same mistakes over and over that have been coached towards you or taught to you in a different context, then you're not learning and you're not growing and you're not maturing.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out, how do I go about doing that? What do I need to change in my own life so that I can start doing those things?
Yeah.
And that's what we'll talk about as a team, as a program, because our job is, it's to win games, but it's also to help young people figure out those lessons so that when they graduate, they can go be a great husband, a great father, you know, a great employee.
Oh, that's exactly what Dakota said. So you're doing something right with with him. So, Coach, I want to check the tape, and then we'll shift the focus ahead. Augustana is coming up next, but first up, we got to check the tape. We'll be right back on the Red Zone.
This Red Zone segment is brought to you by Arena Americas, specialists in providing full-service rental solutions for events and special occasions of all sizes.
Welcome back, and now it's time to check the tape. And you've spotlighted Sharmore already a few times in the show.
Yeah.
You know what? This guy continues to do what he does, and it's recognized on the national level. But, you know, let's just take this one play. What does he do well? Well,
he's so athletic, and at this level, what he's able to do from an athletic standpoint, you see him get out, pulling and getting around the corner. He's finding a cornerback who's typically, those guys are more athletic and they should be able to make a lineman miss in space, but not Sharmore. He can drop his hips, he can bend, he can run. Ricky is right there with him, who can do many of the same things. It's a luxury to have guards that can run the way those two guys can, and it gives us a lot of multiplicity in our run game as a result.
So the second play I want to get to is a defensive play, and Zach Greenberg looked like he might have been coming on a blitz, but nice job setting the edge and then rallying to the football.
Did a great job of containing the football, waiting for help, and we get a tackle for loss there. It was a big play. This is one of the drives, I think, late in the second half that we got to stop and forced a punt and had a chance to get points before halftime. Unfortunately, we weren't able to.
Now, a lot of times we hear containing or setting the edge defensively. What exactly does that mean from a coaching standpoint?
Well, I think I mentioned last week, you try to build a fence on defense. And if the ball gets outside of your fence, then there's a lot of open space out there, so you got to put a stake in the defense, kind of the post, if you will, so that the rest of your fence can rally and get to the football. So that's really kind of what it means, and it's vitally important, especially against a team like Wheaton that likes to get the ball out in space on the edge. So we did that really well a few times, other times no.
Yeah, interesting. Third play I want to get to, back to the offense, and I mean, it's every week we talk about one of these plays that Brock Rudder and Andrew Kaminsky find each other on.
Yeah, simple double move by Drew. Wheaton does a great job in that score zone area of covering, and we thought we saw something we might be able to get to with a double move by Drew, and he did a great job setting it up, and Brock's timing and accuracy puts the ball where it needs to be. Big play, gave us the lead.
Yeah.
Again, just weren't quite able to get those subsequent scores to keep that space in between us.
Yeah.
We really needed that first one in the first half to get up 2 scores. A couple times we had those opportunities and we just weren't quite able to get that done.
Well, we'll put that in the rearview mirror, and now we're looking ahead to Augustana.
Yeah.
And look, Augustana is not a bad team this year. They've got a quarterback that's 6'5", can sling it around. What kind of challenges do they present this week?
Significant. They scored, I think it was 24 points against us last year. Their quarterback's, like you said, he's 6'5", he's 225 pounds, and he runs really well. So we got to keep him contained. Very strong arm, so we got to make sure we're covering people and covering our zones and getting some pressure on the quarterback, which we didn't do last week.
Yeah.
That'll be really, really important.
Offensively, what are you trying to attack? Obviously not giving your game plan away.
Yeah.
If the Vikings are watching.
They're very good on defense, too. They gave Illinois Wesleyan everything they could handle. So, putting a solid game plan together on offense will be important, where we can run it and throw it and score some points.
One of the fun things that I can tell you we do is kind of trying to figure out where teams are every single year. Where's Milliken this year? Well, how are they performing against Illinois Wesleyan or Wheaton? But it looks like the Vikings are a stronger team only based on the last few games. Do you get that sense as well?
Yeah, they've improved for sure. They've got a lot of experience coming back. They have 14 starters returning, 16 are seniors.
Wow.
So when you have 16 senior starters, there's a lot of experience there and wisdom with experience. So they've been there before. They've seen us before. They'll be prepared, and they're going to play really hard because they haven't beaten us in their time there.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Right.
Coach, let's get to your quick hit.
Okay.
And, this is one that I'm going to ask the players as well. What's your favorite thing to do in the fall other than playing football?
Well, I don't play much anymore because my body won't allow me to, so I coach. But when I'm not coaching football, I like to watch football, which makes me really, really interesting, doesn't it?
Do you actually play ever? Do you toss the football around?
I'll throw the ball around, but my back is a wreck, so I can't. Running around is a problem for me. So I'm limited now to golf, and I love golf, but throwing the football around is still fun.
I've seen you throw around in the last few years. You still got some pace on that football.
Once in a while, but then I got to go home and ice the arm.
That's what I don't see.
And my back, right? Yeah, you don't see the aftermath.
Exactly. Coach, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next week.
You're welcome. Thanks, Kevin.
Coming up next, we'll get to a couple of players. We'll be right back on the Red Zone.
This Red Zone segment is brought to you by Jimmy John's.
We've seen some phenomenal catches so far this year, but this one is right up there. Going deep against the vaunted Wheaton defense, Blake Williams goes up and fights through pass interference to snag a 48-yard touchdown. He also grabs the Red Zone's play of the game.
Welcome back. A couple of big guys joining me on set. Tyler Egan, Isaih Zeigler. Guys, welcome. First time on the show.
Yes.
Nice. And Tyler, let's start with you. It seems like you've become more of an integral part of the offense every single year. Now a senior. Do you feel like that role is fun, kind of fun to deal with?
Definitely. I think as the years have gone on, freshman year was just a JV guy, scout team guy. Sophomore year, got thrown into the mix. And each year as it's gone down, I think I've gotten different spots on the field to play, whether it's split out in the backfield, trying to kick out a D end or blocking a safety. Running a little bit more routes, so it's a lot of fun.
Last year in the playoff game, I remember you had a deep pass for a catch, and I'm like, Tyler Egan, like we don't see him going downfield too often. How fun was that?
Oh, tons of fun. I'm always catching the over-shoulder passes from Brock, when we're messing around before practice. But it's usually something that we scheme up that we find open in the game. I mean, you don't see it a lot, so other teams don't see it a lot, so we catch them by surprise with it.
I think you had one against Christopher Newport too, didn't you?
Yeah, for a touchdown there.
Yeah, there you go. Isaih, that unit's going pretty well right now, and we were just talking offset that you guys are extremely young. Yeah. That has to be pretty enjoyable, kind of growing up with this unit and trying to grow as a unit.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, our unit's really young, and we're only going to get better.
Yeah.
And I mean, like last week we had a tough game, but these are the kind of games we need as a unit because it's just going to bring us closer together. And in practice, we're going to push each other even harder. And to have the same guys surrounding you every week to be able to push you for 3 years straight almost is going to be crazy to see what we can get to as a team.
Now, I've asked people kind of who's the leader in that unit, and some people pointed to Tommy as like a vocal leader, but then you as an on-the-field performance, maybe a little bit more soft-spoken. Do you kind of take pride in the fact that you can lead by example and try and get the guys moving in the right direction?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super vocal in the team. I try to be when I can, but I feel like Tommy's that vocal person. But I mean, if people see me as a leader, I mean, I can see it. I just try to do the best I can every time I go out there and do my 111th every play. So to set that example for the young guys means a lot to me, that they see me that way.
Yeah. Both of you guys have these job responsibilities that aren't going to show up in the box score a lot, which I know as a football player you have to be taking pride in because your job is not going to be seen by the average fan, right? Do you guys kind of talk about that in the meeting room, that what you're doing is going to be pushing the team forward even though you're not getting the 15 catches a week, Tyler?
Oh, yeah, all the time. We always make sure we're highlighting the guys that are they're doing the little things right so that the big things take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And I take a lot of pride in that. I love being the reason, Kaminsky could catch 14 balls or 15. Yeah. Brock could throw for so many yards. The running backs run for so many. I like it. I like it a lot.
That's fun. And you and Alex have kind of grown up together, Alex Rose.
Yep.
What's that been like as a tight end tandem? Because I don't think you see that very often.
No. Yeah. I love it. I love Alex. It's been fun past 3 years. Each year we get closer and closer, get more responsibilities thrown at us, and it's just a lot more fun. It's our last season together, season playing football, so a lot more to come.
Trying to make the most of it.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Now, Isaih, whenever I ask the linebackers who to credit, they say you guys, but then whenever I ask you guys, you say the linebackers.
Yeah.
What do you think of that group behind you? You got Beauchamp, you got, Storm Simmons, all these, Greenberg, all these guys, Ben Wong. What are those guys? How high of a level are they playing at right now?
I feel like they're playing at an intense level. Ben Wong's probably the most physical linebacker I've ever seen play.
Really?
Right behind DJ, he got to learn behind one of the best linebackers I've seen.
Yeah.
And he just comes with, he's like a wrecking ball. He just comes to play, and he hits super hard. And, I mean, you can credit us. We take up the blockers, but, I mean, if they don't make the tackles, then they'll just keep running.
Apart. Yeah.
I take pride in that, and so does Tommy and the other defensive tackles that play. I mean, sometimes we take up 2 blockers a play, and if Bo or Ben make a tackle, we celebrate for that because we're doing that together as a defense.
And that's a young unit too. I mean, Beauchamp and Greenberg are both seniors, but they'll be coming back as well. You got Wong and Storm Simmons as well. So that defense feeling pretty good at this point? As a unit?
Yeah, as a unit, we're feeling pretty good. We had to bounce back from last week.
Yeah.
We had a lot of mistakes across the board, and we're getting those fixed this week so that we can bounce back against Augie and hopefully have the best performance of the year.
Nice. So, guys, you ready for the quick hits?
Yes.
All right. So we got a fun one first. Tyler, we'll start with you. Which Jolly Rancher flavor is your favorite?
Favorite's blue raspberry, hands down.
Yep.
Favorite color is blue, but I like the tangy, like the sour taste it has. It's definitely the best.
Nice. Isaih?
I'd probably have to say cherry.
All right.
I was going to say blue raspberry, but Tyler stole my idea, I guess. But
you can have the same favorite flavor.
Nah, cherry's pretty good, though. It's got the tangy, just like he said. And
yeah.
I like cherries, too, so it's, perfect.
It's hard to think about, elementary school and not think about Jolly Ranchers, right? Yeah. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
All right, next one, Isaih, we'll start with you. Best thing to do in the fall other than playing football?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'd probably say just, I would say just doing anything with sweaters on. I love wearing sweaters and not sweating.
Sweater weather.
Yeah. It's the best. Being able to wear a sweater and just still be a little bit cold but not hot.
You know what? That's a very underrated part of fall. I agree with that. I like that. Tyler, how about you?
Mine would definitely be just going out in the street and playing wiffle ball with my brothers and my neighbors.
Ooh, cool.
We had this little setup. We'd set up rocks on the porch, make our own strike zone. And based on where you hit it, it's either a single, double, triple, or a home run. You had to be very skilled to hit a home run because you had the trees over top. You couldn't just hit one straight up, otherwise it's getting caught on the way down. So you had to hit line drives that were.
Sounds like you're a veteran of this wiffle ball league.
Yeah, 116th Street wiffle ball. It's where the talent comes out.
That's awesome. Last one, and Tyler, we'll start with you. If you owned a farm animal in your dorm room, we won't tell North Central about it. What animal would it be?
Gonna have to go with a pig.
All right.
Probably not like a huge hog, but just want to probably like a newborn pig. Just have that thing running around squealing, probably wreaking havoc. Might have to ask a teammate, Joe Moore. He raises show pigs. I'm gonna have to ask him for one probably soon.
That's awesome, Isaiah.
I'd probably have to say either a cow or a chicken because I like to drink milk and eat eggs in the morning.
Free food, free drink.
Yeah.
It's kind of brilliant.
Don't touch my pig. You're not. Don't touch it for bacon.
That bacon's probably pretty good though.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for hopping on. Best of luck against Augustana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we'll go to the Cardinal Corner. We'll be right back on the Red Zone.
This Red Zone segment is sponsored by Belgio's Catering.
Nothing is normal about this North Central men's cross-country program. You're not supposed to win 19 national titles. That's not normal, much less 7 out of the last 10. But this year, the Cardinals have upped the ante.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. We lost, I think it was 6 of our top 7 and, only returning Osmolsky. All of us knew ahead of time that we need to start stepping up, and I know a bunch of us, we started doing that late last cross-country season, and we, day in and day out ever since then.
Zach Chapman is just one of a bevy of runners stepping into the void left behind by a massive and successful graduating senior class. Gabe Pommier is another.
Last year, we were kind of going into the season as misfits, and no one really thought we'd be anything, and everyone thought, we're done, we lost everyone. But to work hard as we did over the summer, put in the work, and be where we're at now, continuing to be ranked first in the nation is a pretty great feeling, and we're not done yet, but it's paying off.
In fact, the only returning runner who towed the line at last year's national meet is Matt Osmolsky, and yet the Cardinals are ranked as the top team in the country.
Especially coming back the last 3 years, I think we've had most of the top 7 or top 10 return. But I think everyone knew going into the season it'd be that would make this season just that much better, more fun for everyone.
Different guys are stepping up, different positions are being switched, and it's such a great feeling.
I was pretty excited to, step up, and I've been following the footsteps of the top guys for my freshman, sophomore year, and I've been learning everything from them, and I think it was about time that I just put on what I knew to the younger guys and move forward.
Osmolsky finished 11th and was the 4th Cardinal to cross the line last year. And now, he's leading this group that many doubted, at least that is outside the building, of course.
The coaches will never say it, but it's definitely the coaches. They do a great job kind of preparing the younger guys for the future, and that's what we've been doing the last 2 years for these guys. The coaches have known that last year's class was a great class and they're going to graduate, so they have to build up the classes coming up and make them just as good as the ones leaving.
Of course, Alcarius has been doing this for almost a half century, so it shouldn't come as much of a surprise, nor should the appreciation and love the runners feel towards their legendary coach.
It's incredible. just the hard work that we put in and day out, and just the love I have for these guys and for the sport, and for Al even. He motivates us, and he's just done such a great job.
If the Cardinals continue on this pace, they'll be in possession of a 20th national title a little more than a month from now, which I'll repeat one more time, simply isn't normal.
Welcome back into the Red Zone. Clark Teuscher on the set, and a lot of things happening. And let's start with men's and women's cross country. Let's start with the men's team. We've talked about them extensively in the past, but this is another team that is restocked, reloaded, headed to nationals, but they first have to get there and get ramped up. Where are they at in that process?
Still going through, the general steps that have to happen. One of those was the pre-national meet down in Louisville on Saturday. The course that's going to host the national championship. It's done that several times. Mm-hmm. Sent 2 teams down there, one to compete in the designated pre-nationals race against several other, I think there were 10 other nationally ranked programs in that race. Came away, we're doing what they do in those races, trailing early and then coming through late and winning the team competition by about 30 points. They took a second group to compete in a different division, and that group won that division, beating some teams that placed pretty highly at national championships in different levels of competition. And actually, the second team was the one where we had the conference runner of the week, and one of our freshmen, Kyle Bell, who ran particularly well and finished 5th in that race. So, there's still a whole lot to figure out, and not the least of which is who's actually going to run once you get to regionals and nationals. I think they've got really kind of 2 more opportunities to figure out who that's going to be. The Oshkosh meet in a couple of weeks, and then the conference championships in early November. So definitely as positive an outcome as it possibly could have been, and to be able to have to pick out between which of these outstanding runners are going to represent you at regional and national championships is a really good problem to have.
Just tell Al and Frank Grammarosa to stop recruiting so well. That way they don't have those hard decisions to make.
Well, this is probably, I think Al would tell you, this is one of the more fun seasons from a coaching perspective, because there's all of that work on development and seeing people step up that maybe you hadn't anticipated, and really seeing that hard work pay off for some guys who have been in the shadows for a little while. I think he's really enjoyed that part of it.
I know it's kind of boring just going wire to wire and winning national championships every year. I get it. No, it's fine. Women's cross country looks pretty good. We got them at Augustana. And aside from Diana, who had to drop out, unfortunately, but that race looked like they shaped up pretty well.
We're in, the gap between the second and fifth runners is only about 20 seconds, which is definitely what you want at this point of the season. If Diane's able to finish that race, they probably finish second out of 23 or 24 teams, which definitely would be a very solid outcome. They're ranked about 8th in the region this week. There's several conference teams kind of around that there, so it's certainly shaping up to be a competitive race at conference. So we're hopeful to get the full squad on the starting line once that happens.
Absolutely. And then we got men's and women's soccer, and boy, have they both gotten big wins in recent weeks.
Yeah, we've really been enjoying seeing kind of the resurgence of both of those programs. The men's team, they've won 4 games in a row after their victory over Benedictine on Sunday. You wondered if there was going to be a letdown after the big win at Wheaton. That did not happen. They played a very solid game, and looking forward to a couple of conference games at home this week. The women's team is also still undefeated in conference play. Also playing very well defensively. They had the conference defensive player of the week, Madison Lockard, the goalkeeper. It's the second time this season she's won that award. I don't think we've had a goalkeeper win that twice in a season on the women's side, which is outstanding. And they're going to be at home this weekend as well against Carroll, and really, setting their sights pretty high coming into the end of the conference. Trying to get at least one conference tournament game at home, which would be quite an accomplishment in a season full of them already for that program.
He has that group playing pretty well, at this point in time.
Yeah, he coached several good teams up at Platteville.
Yeah.
So he's got some experience in those kind of arenas, conference championships, national championships, that his players do not. So to be able to impart some of the lessons that he's learned, that's going to be a really important component of how they approach those games.
All right, quick hit. So you've had a little experience with this, but if you owned a farm animal right now in your home that your wife would let you have, what animal would that be?
Well, that's probably the biggest struggle right there. But yeah, I did grow up on a farm, so we've got a bit of experience there. Probably the easiest animal to train and domesticate for indoor use would be a rabbit.
Okay.
The biggest thing is make sure that you can get them, calm down to a point where with something, you have a loud noise or something that doesn't startle them, that they don't just lose control of their bodily functions all over your floor. So that's probably the one that would be the easiest to treat like a normal house pet.
See, I was thinking like a baby goat. Would that not be a good idea?
Oh, goats are the worst. I've got experience with goats, and they are dumb animals. So that's probably the last choice that I would make.
Clark, thank you for enlightening me and keeping me from making that decision. I appreciate it.
It's important work, so thank you.
Clark, we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
That's it for this episode of The Red Zone. North Central hosts Augustana this Saturday. Kickoff scheduled for 1. The Red Zone's countdown to kickoff starts at 12:45. I'm Kevin Jackman. I'll see you next week on The Red Zone.